Thank you, Eutimio. Good afternoon. And on behalf of the Foundation's Scientific Committee, a warm welcome to all of you for joining us in the second session of the 2020 Centesimus Annus International Conference, devoted this year, as you know, to the milestones of the integral ecology for a human economy. In today's session, the focus will be on education and training, an issue of vital importance at a time in which, for the second time in a few months, many governments around the world are forced to adopt drastic measures, leading to many businesses being shut down, to widespread restriction on travel and mobility, and to close educational institutions in an attempt to contain the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. And I would like to warmly thank all the distinguished guest speakers that will analyze this crucial topic from different stances and perspectives, in particular His Eminence Cardinal Turkson, that will open the session, and His Excellency Monsignor Galantino, that will conclude. We are here today to reflect together on the role of education and training to promote a more sustainable and more just society. Pope Francis in the Laudato Si is very clear on the importance of education. He says, number 213, I quote, "Good education plants seeds when we are young, and these continue to bear fruit throughout life." And again, at number 15, change is impossible without motivation and the process of education. End of quote. Education is a long-term process. It requires personal motivation and commitment, and it is the crucial element to trigger change. We need to change inside if we want the outside to change. Education is meant to be transformative. Social and economic interaction are today required to acquire at all levels a stronger ethical dimension, but ethics cannot be imported from outside in social life. It must arise from within. And the key element to succeed in this process is education, which is the crucial engine for building an inclusive society based on authentic values and integral human development. As clearly indicated by Pope Francis in the recent encyclical Fratelli Tutti, number 167, I quote, "Education and upbringing, concern for others, a well-integrated view of life and spiritual growth, all these are essential for quality human relationships and for enabling society itself to react against injustice, aberrations, and abuses of economic, technological, political, and media power." End of quote. Education and training from one hand and learning and skills from the other are key contributing elements to the development of society and the economy. Moreover, as modern societies and economies are changing as a result of globalization and technological progress, the major transformation of education and training throughout the world is needed to provide society with the skills which are essential for employment, participation, and true human development. The fourth industrial revolution is profoundly changing jobs the way we know them, and digitalization is disrupting labor markets. Some jobs are being lost by automation, whilst others see their nature change. New, completely different jobs are emerging, and therefore new skills are required to perform them. All this process is changing labor supply and demand, employment patterns, and the demand of skills associated to jobs, both existing and new. Thus, it becomes now crucial to fully understand what type of skills workers need as the digital transformation unfolds. New skills and competences are emerging and are acquiring increasing importance. Creativity, entrepreneurship, learning to learn, digital competencies are becoming more and more important for innovation and participation in the digital society. What is today strongly required then is that supply and demand for these new skills and competences are matched. This is a key challenger for research and policy. The COVID-19 crisis has exposed the many inadequacies and inequities in our education systems, from access to the broadband and computers needed for online education to the misalignment between resources and needs. Just a few months ago, during the recent Centesimus Annus consultation in Milan at Catholic University, when the COVID-19 pandemic was still unrevealed, the governor of the Bank of Italy, Ignazio Visco, made a number of reflections which today, in the light of the subsequent pandemic, acquire a special importance. He said, I quote, "An appropriate education would also contribute to limiting the digital divide, that is, the lack of opportunities available to people without access to the internet. As the diffusion of digital devices is becoming more global and their complexity grows, access to opportunities will depend not simply on having the information and communication tools, but also on having the skills needed to use them." End of quote. It is now clear that the COVID-driven sharp disruptions in schools around the world mostly affected the poorest and more vulnerable share of population, drastically reducing their education opportunities and making more likely for them poverty conditions when adults. The COVID-19 pandemic has exacerbated pre-existing inequalities in the educational system, as school closures had the most negative impact on the already most disadvantaged students. Current income inequalities, therefore, are doomed to persist and even to widen as a consequence of disparity in education opportunity. During the first wave of the pandemic, hundreds of millions of students have had their education disrupted. According to OECD data at global level, for only half of the students, distant learning was a concrete opportunity, as half of them have instead been excluded from distance learning. The goal of digital inclusion remains far to be achieved. Students from privileged backgrounds, supported by their parents and eager and able to learn, could find their way to benefit from alternative learning opportunities. Those from disadvantaged backgrounds could not. For example, the schools that children from better off families attend are more likely to provide learning activities that involve active engagement between teachers and students than the schools attended by children from the most deprived families. These activities are not only expected to be best suited for supporting homework, they are also less reliant on parental time and ability to be completed. In some, school shutdowns are likely to accentuate the socioeconomic divide in educational attainment. The COVID-19 pandemic has also had a severe impact on higher education, as universities had to close their premises and many countries shut their borders in response to lockdown measures. Higher education institutions were quick to replace face-to-face teaching with online learning, but these closures affected students in many other ways, as the value offered by university education include networking and social opportunities, as well as educational content. The challenge for universities is now to reinvent their learning environment so that the sophisticated tools provided by digitalization may effectively complement the student-teacher and other relationships. Education must prepare young people to commit themselves to operate in the world through a more active and transformative approach. And therefore, more training processes based on transformation are needed, whereby imagination, intellectual curiosity, constant commitment, collaboration, resilience, and self-discipline may emerge and consolidate. There is today an urgent demand for a change of direction in the evolution of the world economy, rediscovering and promoting the concept of solidarity and fraternity to achieve true human development. Human development is a true multidimensional concept. It requires to focus on the whole person and on all persons. It includes, of course, economic development, which arises from the cooperation of entrepreneurs and employees directed at the common good and is promoted by the mutual and fruitful interaction of enterprises, institutions, and society. Human development also consists of social development, which promotes cohesion through the unity of society and territories and is fueled by the non-profit sector increasing role. And finally, subsume intergenerational development based on sustainable social security system, which lead to the enhancement of the needs of the young generation and promotes the role of the family as the essential actor of the society. In all these dimensions of human development, education is the key element. It's not just individuals who benefit from education. Entire communities benefit from education. And when a community doesn't value education, the people who become educated often leave. This leads to the well-known brain drain effect, which can impact the socioeconomic prosperity of entire region. I conclude. Education can help people develop economically, socially, and intellectually. For example, from the economic point of view, individuals with more skill are more capable to adapt to technological changes. In a period of profound crisis, as the one we currently live in, it is essential to rediscover and promote creativity and imagination through education. In this respect, human capital and investment in knowledge are crucial, as they provide a return both to the individuals and to the community, as they have not only direct impact on productivity, but also produce positive indirect effect, which arise in the interaction between individuals, in the increase in social capital, in the respect for law and justice. In some, investment in knowledge constitutes a crucial factor in social cohesion, welfare, and development. On all these issues, we are called to reflect today in our meeting with the help of our distinguished guest speakers. The Holy Father is asking us to think and work together to generate a new model of social life. Education and training are the fundamental building blocks to shape the path towards a more human economy. I am sure that our reflection today will contribute to respond to the Holy Father's call. Thank you.